Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the article before I showed my sharing of the results, because there were a few aspects that I don't think I could weave into that discussion, but were really prominent in what I thought was important. So the first thing is, of course, person-centered. The theory of including the student within this process, and I think that's really important, especially having been in SBTs and IEP meetings, talking to administration and special educators. Our kiddos get lost in the data. There was a line within the article that said that it's a dehumanizing process where we are looking at only subsets of data versus the actual individual themselves, and we lose sight of them. So we can achieve that by creating living portfolios, by creating student profiles to include in the meeting so that everyone has a good view of this kiddo. We can also, of course, encourage attendance of the student, and that would be best so that they're there hearing about these accommodations as well as giving insight into their own lives, and that's going to make it more meaningful. That segues into the next section that I thought was really important, and that's meaningful action. Instead of a list of generic recommendations, we can work together to come up with ones that actually fit and work for the student. I have seen this time and time again, that kiddos who could use technology as an accommodation but are unfortunately too distracted by it, it doesn't serve them purpose, that's not going to be a recommendation that fits. Or bringing fidgets in the classroom that end up being more of a distraction, or not providing manipulatives for a student because you're worried about a distraction when really the physical piece is what's going to serve them the best. And then taking into consideration, especially with older students, transition times. Kiddos with all kinds of issues versus spectrum, ADHD, we're talking sensory issues, behavior issues, your H's, your R's, all are going to struggle with transitions. It'll have to do with executive functioning, sensory issues, being able to be organized, and time management. So making sure that we're not only just considering the academic pieces, but also how those transitions are going to work for our kiddos and how we can make sure that that is the biggest area of success. Offering them a quiet space for recess and lunch, giving them the option to go to the gym to burn some energy, or even buddying up a kiddo so that they have that person that they can go to if there's an issue. I have worked with several kiddos with regulation issues, and we have a little check-in right before recess where we're practicing our strategies for regulation. Hey, how are you doing today? What emotions are you feeling? Great. Do you think you'll make great choices? Awesome. Please go have fun. I'm happy to see you. Or, hey, you're having some struggles today. Thank you for letting me know. Let's go to a quiet space. Would you like to read? Would you like an iPad? And helping them navigate those circumstances meaningfully within their own context as the individuals that we're serving, as well as providing them an opportunity to discuss those strategies and to move forward in a better way. Also, I wanted to touch on the 7 touchstones by the Cornell University section that was within the paper. There were 3 that really stood out for me. D, the willingness to struggle for difficult goals. Let's be real, this is a hard job. It gets harder when we're working with complex needs, and we all need to work together. Instant problem solving is not something that is in education, let's be honest. It's certainly not going to be something that is within these students either. It takes time to work through our strategies and recommendations to see if accommodations are working, and then to build from there. And especially with our students who are cognitively delayed, physically delayed, it's going to take a significant amount more time, and that will feel very difficult. The next one was F, a willingness to enhance the humanity and dignity of the person. This connects to the person-centered theory as well. We need to make sure these kiddos feel good about the support we're giving them and that they are not being labeled, but being designated in a way that supports them, and not being ostracized from our theory, from our academics, from the social life, the community of the school, but being supported in a way that makes them feel safe. And then finally, to look for the good in people and help bring it forward. I have worked in community schools with some of the most challenging parents you can imagine, and some of the most challenging dynamics at home that you can imagine. It is very easy to throw up prejudice and bias and then assume that these parents can bring nothing, but that is not the case. We have to find the good in everyone, even when you are working with the most challenging kiddo, with the biggest behaviors, who is giving you the most struggle. You have to find the good. Otherwise, all of the help, all of the support, all of the way that we talk about these kiddos, the labels we give them will be negative, and that is not going to help them. Finally, I want to talk about some of the assumptions in the assumption section. One of them was that we need to remember all people who are significantly involved in a child's growth and development have a right to participate. This is, again, connected to the 7 touchstones. Even if this parent doesn't respond to you for 6 months, they still have a right to be there, and you are going to gain valuable knowledge about what that kiddo's like at home when they're not within this particular setting. How can we support them even better knowing that information? And then finally, all members have valid perceptions, opinions, data, intuitions, and ideas. Some of the very best ideas have come from some very strange places for how to support this kiddo. It can even be a teacher who's worked a very long time and had a kiddo who was like that student years ago when all of our theory was completely different, but they had a strategy that worked. And hey, oh my goodness, it works for this kiddo. It can be grandparents, foster parents that are no longer in the picture. That is a legitimate, genuine case study that I had where the foster parents were no longer the people who were taking care of this kiddo. However, we contacted them, we worked with them, and we found strategies that had worked in the past with this foster family that served this student as they move forward. And that was super valuable. You have to remember that. Finally, lastly, there's a piece that was within this article that is so important in this role, and that is the importance of one-person contact. It has been told to me time and time again from the specialists that I get to work with. You need to have one person who's in charge of collecting all of the information coming from all of the interagencies, all of the administration, the teachers, the past teachers, the students, the families. It is a myriad, a swirling tornado of people who are involved in this process. You need one person who's collecting all of that information and one person who's sending out the dates. Otherwise, it gets muddied up. There's nothing but frustration, and you end up getting into a meeting with 6 or 7 individuals who have received emails from all over the place with different times and different meeting places, and everyone is already frustrated. Maintaining that single person who is in charge of collecting it all, and then making sure that that singular person is also in charge with following up. So if you set actions, we're going to meet again in November to rediscuss the students' plan and see how they're doing, to check in with strategies in the classroom teacher and make sure they're being implemented, see what's successful and what's not. That singular person needs to be the one who's making sure they're following up. Otherwise, oh my goodness, our kiddos get lost in the mix. It happens far too quickly, and it's really easy to get piled underneath the paperwork, the emails, the phone calls, the data coming from every subset. Okay, I'm going to show you the video now of me actually delivering the data. It'll be a short snapshot, as this is the piece that I wanted to discuss the most. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this class very much.